heavy.
Now today I was meant to make a positive video about Sony and how God of War Ragnarok's DLC Valhalla is actually really good. But instead, I decided to take a day off the internet yesterday, and that has its own consequences. Because I woke up this morning to find plenty of videos on my YouTube timeline and Twitter on fire about Insomniac Games being hacked. So I had to investigate, obviously, only to find out that there's a ransomware group holding Insomniac Games and Sony with 1 terabyte of information for $2.5 million. Now this is not a good thing at all. It's not nice on companies, and especially developers like Insomniac Games, which honestly pump out probably most of Sony's content at the moment. They are the hardest workers for Sony PlayStation. They pump out shit tons of content, whether you like their games or not. I think they do really good work, and they don't deserve to have their information leaked this way. But it wasn't just their information, it was theirs, and within the documents there was also information about Sony themselves, well, PlayStation as a group, not just Sony. So the information that was leaked by the ransomware group was the games coming out from Insomniac Games was one of them, which in fall of 2025 they have Venom coming. A year later, fall 2026, they have Wolverine, which honestly I was expecting to see Wolverine a lot sooner than that. Spider-Man 3 for 2028, Ratchet & Clank for fall 2029, 2030 an X-Men game, which it sounds really exciting. I hope they do a good job, and hopefully I'm around to see that one. 2030 is still a long ways away. And there's new IP slated for 2031, 2032, and there was a Wolverine gameplay leak. Obviously I can't show the leak gameplay of Wolverine. I have seen it for myself. You can search the internet on your own. There are plenty of places where you can probably find the leak gameplay footage. My impressions were God of War 2018/Ragnarok crossed with Spider-Man. It was that kind of over-the-shoulder look with Wolverine. My impressions were it was an alpha footage, obviously unpolished, not done properly, and you should only take it as alpha footage. It is nowhere near finished, obviously not. It's not coming out for another 2 years at least. In all honesty, it looked pretty decent, especially for early alpha footage, but the lack of gore was a bit disappointing, but maybe that will change. There was some blood in there, but no dismemberment, which I would like to see Wolverine's claws just chop off dudes' arms. It's a preferable thing, but in video games it not only looks cool, it's actually accurate. If you're going to slice some dude's arm, more than likely it's going to chop off. And along with them leaks also came with the Marvel contract licensing terms, and the numbers are pretty scary. I'm not sure how accurate they are, but it was over $500 million, something like 621 million that they have to pay in licensing fees. If I've got it right, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure Fratanga's made a video on it that clarifies it properly. But Insomniac and Sony have to sell 6 million units of games between the PC and PS5 of one of the 3 major titles. The termination fee is like 9 million for Sony, unless Marvel calls it themselves. Then obviously there's no termination fee, which is quite scary. That's a scary contract to have, and that's a lot of money pumped into one franchise such as Marvel. But if it pays off for them, then fair enough. It really shows that Sony is spending a lot of money just on the licensing for these Marvel games alone, and I'm actually surprised at that cost. But that's the industry, not just gaming, but movie as well. With all that being said, 1 terabyte of information is a lot of information, especially when it's all in text format. And there's a huge list of stuff that was leaked out there. And I mean, you can just go and search for all this yourself, but they were showing in the leaks, obviously, Sony's fears for Call of Duty, which, not news, it had all come out before, but it's crazy to see it all leaked in here, plus most of Insomniac's plans going forward. And I'll talk a little bit about the plans. I mean, Venom fall 2025, game I was not expecting, to be honest with you. Quite exciting. I mean, they need to sort of make up for the lack of Venom in Spider-Man 2, but it wasn't a game based around Venom, but it was heavily advertised, and I think he should have been in the game a little bit more. And Wolverine for 2026, like I said earlier, I was honestly expecting that to come out next year for some reason. I don't know why, but in all honesty, we haven't seen anything further from the original trailer they showed a while back. And then they've got a 2-year gap, which in all honesty, Insomniac actually deserve it. Spider-Man 3, not so excited. Ratchet & Clank, not my cup of tea really. I've played a couple of them before, it's okay. The X-Men one I'm mostly excited for. The new IPs, I will be glad to see Insomniac work on something else in the next decade. And in 2031 and 2032, that's what's slated to happen, some new IPs. And another thing I found interesting about this leak was confirmed PC ports. And now it's slated that it's actually easier for them to make PC ports and a lot cheaper these days. So the day and date thing might become a reality soon, and all honesty, I think they should sell games day and date on PC, even Xbox. I mean, the more sales they can get on day one from all platforms would be a lot better. I know it'll never happen for Xbox. They're not going to release their exclusives towards them, but for PC it makes sense. Because once you release a game and then 2 years later the hype of the game's died down, no one cares anymore. They're just going to wait for a sale, like I do. If I want the PC version of Horizon Forbidden West, even though I've already played it, I'm going to wait for a sale. Obviously I want to see how good that game looks on my 4080, but paying full price for it is a no-go because I've already paid a good whack for it on the PS5. And I know most people only come to this channel just to see the fanboy reactions, so I couldn't leave this video without any fanboy reactions. So you got the usual waiting for 2026 be like. He's obviously crying because he has to wait for 2026 to see the Wolverine game, and honestly, not just the fanboys were expecting Wolverine to be out sooner. I was also expecting it to be out sooner than that. I was actually quite excited to check that one out because Spider-Man 2 I had no interest in. Seeing how the story played out in that one, it was quite disappointing. And I'm only going to touch on this fanboy, and this is probably going to take up the last section of this video. It's Greg Miller from Some Funny Games, I think that's what they're called. I'll correct that in a minute. But Greg Miller posts, "This Insomniac leak is an invasion of privacy done on a massive scale. That's why today we will not be reporting on the details of the leak. Instead, we will discuss how this affects people working on your favourite games." Now then, Greg Miller.
Keep that same energy.
In the past, when leaks have come out, you and your channel have been more than excited to cover them. Here are the screenshots. So in the screenshots you can see a Capcom leak. They were excited to report that. Suicide Squad leak. They were also excited to report that. And also I just remembered they're called Kinda Funny Games. I'm not interested in this podcast because they suck and they're unbelievably cringe. And then there was a 15 new characters leak for Avengers, a game that is now dead. And then there was a GTA 6 leaks. They were also excited for that one. But when it comes to Insomniac and PlayStation, they say leave them alone. They were not excited at all that there was leaked footage for Wolverine, that there was leaks for Insomniac's future. I myself think that it sucks that Insomniac's future got leaked. They obviously didn't want this to happen. The ransomware group are fucking scumbags, in my opinion. At the end of the day, they're criminals trying to get money, and I'm glad Insomniac and Sony PlayStation didn't fold and told them to get fucked, you're not having any money offers. Because at the end of the day, they are criminals, and these big companies, I know they've got plenty of money, but they shouldn't fold to ransomware groups like this. I think it's kind of hilarious that Kinda Funny Games thinks it's okay to have leaks of everything else except for when it comes to Sony. Now it just shows their bias, and you really shouldn't listen to people like them. They're trying to be journalists, and I don't think they're doing a good job if they show a bias towards one platform. But that'll do it for me today. What do you think about these leaks? These leaks are actually quite crazy. Don't get me wrong, the roadmap Insomniac has themselves looks quite exciting to probably most people. For me personally, I'll wait and see what they've got. Hopefully I'm still around at 2030. You know, I'm getting on a bit these days. Hopefully I'm still around at 2030 to see what Insomniac has cooking. But these leaks are actually crazy. And it's shit for Insomniac, and I hope it doesn't damage them too much. But I would like to hear your thoughts in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe, do all that great stuff. And I might get to work on the God of War Ragnarok DLC video soon, because I actually thought that was really cool. I'll see you in the next one.